Welcome to Pirate Living Podcast. We are your hosts, Kristen and Caron. On this podcast, we are highlighting ordinary people living extraordinary lives. These are pirates who take small, bold actions daily to create social change. Pirate life is all about rebelling and breaking the rules for good. Creating lasting social change starts by first breaking our inner rules. After all, the hardest rules to break are your own. The pirates we highlight have dedicated themselves to creating good trouble.
Today on our show, we're talking to Craig Patterson, aka Patty. Patty is the owner of Madlab School of Fitness, where, of course, I coach, and the CEO of Madlab Business Group, where Patty and his team have been working tirelessly to fix and professionalize the broken fitness industry and to educate coaches on how to have an actual career in the fitness industry. The Madlab apprenticeship program, of which I've gone through in my journey to be a full-time coach, is accredited by the province of British Columbia, one of the few things out there like it. So welcome to our show, Patty.
Good to have me.
Yeah.
I start off with a question. Is this show PG, R, X, triple X? Like, where are we allowed to, where do we go with this?
I have a pirate joke right at the beginning. It's rated R.
Yeah, you're cool. You're covered. We covered all our bases knowing you were coming on.
I haven't done one for a while. Usually I only do them with a few people that I know really well, and they kind of know me and know how far it can go. I know you know me, Caron, but yeah, I actually had to think about this. And I know I postponed it last time. I realized my parents were in town and stuff, but I'm always scared to come on these things, as I'm almost slightly terrified to tell my full truth because I don't think people are really ready for it. So I don't know.
We're ready for it.
We'll see where this goes today.
Yeah.
You might not want the full truth.
Well, so as someone who was once in the fitness industry years before, and we've had this conversation, and I was making like $6 an hour working 13-hour days. It didn't take me long back then to realize that the fitness industry is broken. And I left the fitness industry to become a receptionist because I was going to make way more money as a receptionist. So I'd really like you to just tell us your story of how you became this pirate of the fitness industry.
That's an interesting one. Where do we start here? I guess we can start with, I actually was a pirate in the engineering side of things in corporate world before this. September 11th, actually, was my 20-year date of writing my own checks. I had left the engineering industry. Well, I left corporate America. They owed me a $300,000 commission check that was due to get in a short period of time. They didn't really want to pay that. And it was a really interesting thing that I just finally was completely disillusioned. I think maybe I was just more unemployable than disillusioned, and maybe just I wanted things to go a certain way, and there was I tripped over myself with this moral compass so many times that I'm actually kind of maybe slightly broken from it, to be honest. Right. But anyway, I had my engineering business, and I was working for a guy who was one of my best friends, and we were sort of partners, and I worked tirelessly. I mean, I think I worked 14-hour days for 3 years in green building engineering design. And I was one of the first people in North America doing that. And again, there was a big bill that came in. I took 100% risk on this, and then the money didn't flow. And it was a lot of money. And I had to settle cheaply because if you don't have money, you can't defend yourself in court. So this has sort of been going on for a long time. And then I guess I got into the fitness industry. I was working too much. I was at a desk way too much. I wasn't doing the things I wanted to do. And that lawsuit was coming to a head. I just stopped working. My girlfriend, I found out that she had a boyfriend back in Czech Republic all at the same time. And friends of mine, T-Bear being one of them, T-Bear and Andrew Crine, a bunch of guys I worked at Johnson Control with came scoop me up, took me up to Whistler for a weekend. And in the middle of that, there were these kids they built their own little, I don't know, you call it a sweat lodge or something like this, their own little spa where they had ingots and water and a big tent. And anyway, we were high in ecstasy in this tent. And I got out, and there was this guy trying on this shirt with a clown throwing up. I was like, what the fuck is this thing? And they're like, oh, it's crazy, man. You got to try it. It's rings and ropes and running. and all this stuff. And anyway, I went down to Seattle to check it out, and I ran into Greg Glassman. And we sat down and talked for 7 hours straight. And I was gearing up to start another engineering business to take down my old friend. And I was like, I think this looks a lot more interesting. And Greg and I he was my mentor, Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit. He was my mentor. And we talked on the phone, I don't know, probably every 3 or 4 days. And I go down there once a month, probably once every 6 weeks to Santa Cruz. And that was just when CERT started. And, he was living in a 1-bedroom rented house. He was broke. And when he came to Vancouver, he'd stay in my bedroom and I'd sleep on the couch kind of thing. And, we knew that the CrossFit was going to be something, but we had no idea what was going to happen with that thing, how that was going to just blow out of control. And he'd given me CrossFit.ca and I had 2 partners, and, I just started off. I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to take a shot at this. I got myself extremely fit in a short period of time. I didn't have any real bad injuries other than my neck thing, which seemed to get healed up. And, I started just personally training people $5 an hour. And I had a settlement from the engineering thing by now. I didn't have to work for a little while, but I wasn't going to be rich by any means. So I could take a year or 2 to figure this thing out. So, it was all about excellence. So I remember raising my rates from $5 to $10, and I lost half my clients. So anyway, one thing led to another, and next thing you know, 6 months down the line, I had 30, 35 clients. So I was putting them into small groups, and they had to do 10 personal training sessions in the small groups. And Greg and I were convinced that was the way to do something that was high performance, like CrossFit. You couldn't put them right into a group class. You couldn't pay people by the hour. Like, it was the fundamentals of a lot of the stuff you see Caron today that makes up what Madlab is. Mm-hmm. That was the start. And anyway, finally I got kicked out of every gym and personal training center in Vancouver. There's nowhere else to go. Just simply being myself and doing the things we were doing. And, the biggest thing was people wanted to come train with us. So the personal trainers were losing their clients to us. I didn't want to take them. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, you can't, kind of thing. So we opened our first gym, and everybody convinced us that you had to hire young girls, pretty young things. And, it was a 2-day course they could take, and then you throw them right into a group class and away you go, which is still the model that's out there. Mm-hmm. If you look at what's going on now, all the knockoffs of CrossFit, like the F45s, Order Series, all those things, it's the same thing. Pay the staff really low wages. If you look at the math, it's like they get about 10% of the gross revenue, right? And they're not paid on retention or average client value or any of these things. So anyway, we almost went bankrupt. We went $73,000 in debt doing it that way in 9 months. And I got rid of my partners and started all over again. Now flat broke. I had nothing, absolutely fucking nothing. And I actually got my sister to co-sign a $40,000 loan. I took on the $73,000 in debt, and away we go. And we started following the principles that we knew worked. And lo and behold, here we are 18 years later. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question. There's so many places we could go with this.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, one of the things that you talked about was like how it started with personal training and then into group classes. So, like, how did that change for the rest of CrossFit? Like, why did that change? Is that what you and Glassman were doing from the start?
Yeah, I mean, at the start, I was talking to him every day about how do we make this thing. See, I couldn't afford to lose a client. Mm-hmm. I just simply didn't have enough. I didn't have a sign over the door. I didn't have a website. It was just me and training people in this little space that we got. And we got thrown out of there within 9 months for being too loud. And I got this other crappy space that, cost us nothing that they're going to demo, and spent luckily 2 years in there. And I think I know what happens in the fitness industry now, but back then we were wide open to anything and to trying everything, right? And it just worked. When we put, like when I took about 35 clients from my personal training small group thing over into our commercial model with our partners, and they changed the whole intake process and the coach compensation. All of it got changed, which is the crucial point. And it is because they're addicted to taking every new client. And there's a rush of new clients. They want to be able to take them all and take them fast and all this kind of thing, right? And when we did that, we just lost them. It was incredible. Like Bring a Friend Day, that was the results from that were just terrible. The free class on the weekend, the results you got were atrocious. Like 20, 30% would even stop to talk to you after,
Mm-hmm.
and they would never come back again. Free week, free month, all these things that people do out of desperation just makes no sense. And if you actually study it and take the data, it produces terrible results, right? And by terrible results, I mean someone that came in through Bring a Friend Day, let's say 30 people show up, how many are left 1 year later? You're lucky if you got one, right? Whereas if they came in through a controlled experience, a one-on-one, I bet you, out of that 30, you're probably going to get 20 to sign up. And at the end of that year, you probably still have 16. And you look at the revenue from that, it's tremendous. But anyway, we did all that. We tried everything. And it was like, the churn number was incredible. Then the coaches got like sort of depressed and then super entitled, and they didn't know how to sell or bring clients in or do any of that stuff. They just wanted to show up and coach their class and leave. And that added to the churn even more. And at the end of the 6 months, or I think it was 6 or 9 months, I looked around, and the only people left were the 35 people that I brought to begin with. They were impenetrable. They didn't go anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And I was coaching the classes for them, and we're like, why aren't we doing this with everybody? And now if you look at that, like you take a client in, we were doing 10 sessions now. I think maybe it should be more like 15 or 20, we found out, for the average person. And you look at, let's just take a look at, okay, how does something like F45, Ullage theory, Soul Cycle, how do they work, right? And I'll backtrack back to what happened with CrossFit and why it went so sideways. But how it works is they make money selling franchises. Their main goal in life is to sell franchises. That's how their investors get paid. That's how they get paid. And the amount of money and profit margin in selling a franchise, like in a gym, I mean, I've been grinding for 18 years. And after 18 years, if I can make 19 or 20% EBITDA at the end of the day, that's doing extremely well. And that's beating the market by 3 times, I would say, in a well-run independent gym that is doing it the other way, But if you look at it, their priorities are not the same as the gym owners, coaches, or the clients. What they need to do is they need to pre-sell 300 or 400 or 500 memberships, and then they can sell that franchise. And they can sell that franchise for an extreme amount of money. So much so that I don't want to say too much here because some people are friends, but we have friends, acquaintances, that one member of the family is selling franchises and the other ones are running gyms. And they're selling franchises on top of the gyms they run. And why would you ever do that? Right? Mm-hmm. So now, if I'm going to try and make money in the fitness industry, it's always been a top-down, it's a top-down investment structure. So all these gyms are not designed for the client to stick around. They're designed to get 300 or 400 people to show up. They're not designed for the client to stick around. So now if you did a client development process, Caron, like we do, where you're going to do 20 one-on-one personal training sessions, you got to train staff like crazy to be able to do that. How are you ever going to pre-sell your 400 memberships when you got to take, each one of them's got to do 10 personal training sessions? How could you ever do it? You can't. So then the client development process becomes extremely dumb, right? Then that's when you start having TVs and you start having, the coaches take a 2 or 3 day course and they can train this workout so they can accept 300 or 400 or 500 clients first day. Now, the price of that is they're all going to be gone in a year, right? Or at least 70% are gone in 9 months, and it's close to 90% in a year. And that's the industry. That's the industry we live in. That's why and so the coaches never get trained on how to properly train people, bring someone in properly, get proper business development coaching, sales training, communications training, for you to do your mindset training. What would be the point if you had to go work at one of those puppy mills? It wouldn't be any point, right? And that dominates the fitness industry, is that model, And if you backtrack into CrossFit, everything changed about 2007 when Greg figured out, oh, wow, I can make way more money selling 2-day certs and licenses. Before that, all the money came from the journal, right? So he had to do great work to teach people, especially his affiliates, how to run their business properly, And then it became, how many 2-day certs can I sell? And that was and franchises. And if one opened up next to the other and cannibalized the other one, or if you go to a place like Bangkok, it was incredible. We had the first gym in Bangkok, and it was like in the third world, they had no business standards, no ethical standards, no business practices, nothing. Like, and this happened everywhere back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13 in the CrossFit world. Is, one of the coaches would be in this gym, and one of the clients would go, "Hey, we can open up our own right over here." And they go open the cross and pirate half the clients. And then something would happen to them and them. And then all of a sudden there'd be 13 gyms all fighting over the same pot. And then they'd all go bankrupt, like it was insane. Anyway, that's my beef for the fitness industry. That's really what I'm here to promote and to educate people on, is the fitness industry has got no standards, and it's designed from the top down for the investment class. The people that taught me, look at Greg. He tried to hire me a lot of times, to his credit. I turned him down, and the numbers were getting astronomical in the end. I probably should have just taken the money. I'm the only person I know that didn't take the money, and it was a lot of fucking money. 2012, like a lot. I'd have been retired long ago if I just ran my gym, kept my mouth shut, took the money from CrossFit to keep your mouth shut. My life would be dramatically different right now. Anyway, Audrey told me we'd get a divorce if I took that money, so what are you going to do, right?
You got to listen to the wife.
You look at it, he's made $500 million. How much did the average CrossFit coach make? How much did I know that 85,000 of them have changed hands, right? So anyway, that's my beef, is that people don't want to uncover the mystery of the fitness industry, and why is it so broken? It was so broken because the people inside of it earn poverty level wages and have no hope and no chance of ever making money. There's just none there. It doesn't exist. Because it's not designed for them to do that. It's designed to get 300 or 400 clients and sell the next franchise, or some version of that, right? So it's fucked.
So what came first then, Madlab Business Group or the apprenticeship program, or did it all kind of come in together?
Well, the apprenticeship program started in 2009. This was my own fault. This was a mistake I made. I didn't have the proper business license for the location we were in. And the city of Vancouver, someone in the fitness industry of Vancouver, someone calls that in right away. I was in this big spot. I was in all these little spots. It was like they kind of ignore. Then I was in a big spot, which is a very political thing. I know Gold's Gym and a bunch of other bigger franchises tried to get into the industrial areas, and they don't allow that. And, I sank every cent I had into this thing. And, I was going on vacation with my girlfriend at the time. We were at business class flights down to Mexico. We had a layover in LAX, and I got this phone call. And it was from an inspector. She's like, "You're running fitness in this place." I go, No, we're doing all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Like trying to backpedal and all this stuff. Because what we were doing was so unique at the time, and it was so special. We had people coming from all over the world to train with us. I had the RCMP. I had every police force in the Lower Mainland. I had UBC professors. You name it, every institution that you could possibly find, including CRA, everybody was in there learning from us. We were the only people around doing this kind of stuff. And I was the first one in the world really doing what we were doing. Maybe we still are, I don't know. And so I was like, what's an outright use here? Well, the outright use is a vocational school, right? So I had to go to the government of Canada and have, what we do certified by them, which that was a bureaucracy. It took like probably 4 or 5 months for them to say, yeah, that's a legit vocation. And then we had to go get accredited or registered first by the province. That was another year, right? And the whole time we're getting injunctions put on. I had to file an injunction every month because they put a cease and desist on the door, and that was really where the Scotch habit started. So yeah, we had to turn it into a school, which actually turned out to be a blessing, because it taught us how to really teach people. They actually really know what they're doing there. When you get an accredited institution, everything's got to be by the book on how you file all this stuff. So we learned a tremendous amount from it. And we finally got accredited at the end of 2009. So we actually got registered in 2009. Got accredited, which was another 5-year process in 2015. But that came first. Madlab Business Group, to be honest, like we fucking mangled that thing up so many times. It's never really made any money for me. If I had taken the money from Greg and never started that, it'd be millions ahead. It took us forever to figure out what we were actually trying to teach people. Now I think, Caron, you've done extremely well in your apprenticeship, and I hope that some of the stuff we had online helped you, and the mentorship from Tom and Derek, and that actually helped.
Mm-hmm.
Has it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the system that's in place now. So for those like listening, basically when you start off as a junior apprentice, which is how I started out. You're assigned a mentor at the gym. So I had my mentor at the gym that I shadowed, learning how to teach classes. Yeah, I did my 2-day CrossFit cert. But that wasn't it. Like, I by no means would that have taught me enough on how to be a good coach. So yeah, just shadowing my mentor through personal training, seeing what he did with his clients, and at the same time doing a lot of online program where we go through, more of the technical stuff, like how do you teach someone to deadlift? How do you teach someone to squat? And we have Derek who leads and is the mentor for that group as well. So you kind of have all of these mentors, all of this information, all of this education now. Whereas when I was when I was coaching at the gym before, I think it was like however long it took me to do my little personal training course, like a weekend or whatever that was. And I was kind of left on my own to kind of figure things out. And then, you get to a point where you so-called graduate, and then you become a senior apprentice, where I found it teaches you a lot more about the business side of things, right? So how do I do my marketing? How do I do sales? We get, oh shit, what's his name?
How good is Greg Mack? Isn't that
Thank you, Greg Mack. So we have Greg Mack. I'm doing my second course with him, my second program with him now, teaching actually how to do sales. Because when I came into the industry, I didn't know how to sell anything.
Sales is not a dirty word. Let's get to the bottom of the truth here.
Yeah.
Do you like me? Do I like you? Do I have a service that you're interested in? Have I properly explained that service? And do you want it or not? If you don't want it, great. Cool. See you later. If you want it, here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
You forget how I had a ton of sales training in my corporate life, back in my engineering days, and so did T-Bear, and that's why T-Bear had such an advantage early on. I remember I did 8 months of sales training at my first job before I could even do a sale, before they even let me go on a sales call. Right? I mean, those are Fortune 100 companies where they probably lose $200,000 or $300,000 on you in the first year alone. And then, the training starts to kick in by year 3. You start making the company money. Well, in the fitness industry, their return on investment is probably 1 week. They're not going to spend any more money on you, Yeah. So there's just nowhere to go. Or ours is more like an apprenticeship for, a journeyman electrician, I would say. You got 3, 4, 5 years of really good apprenticeship, and then, your ability to hustle and to sell and get referrals and do all those things that, teach you the basics of life. Like, I mean, these are the things that we hear it all the time, that people that want to protect the old model, like, oh, we don't want sales is dirty. We don't want to teach our clients how to sell. We just want to teach, they just want to come in and run their class. Well, that's like keeping someone barefoot and pregnant. You know what I mean? They want to just keep you in the closet, keep you stupid and ignorant, and just have you show up and do your minimum wage or better job and repeat, It's like looking at the fitness industry like McDonald's. I mean, and that's really how it's valued out there. It's very similar to commodity, like someone working on the line at McDonald's, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, all we're going to have is McDonald's. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to die of that. And we've got a massive healthcare problem coming down the pipe with the type 2 diabetes stuff, and that, all that, I think COVID has really exposed the health risks of being unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like, it really has shown the world that there's a value for what we do. And our industry's just done such a poor job of explaining what we do, because the people that run it don't give a fuck about people. It is a return on investment scheme for them to get their money back and sell franchises, sell that piece of equipment. And they don't really know how to run a gym or how to properly train people, how to create a professional place of business. They have no idea how to do that, right? None. Yeah. But they're the ones dominating the fitness industry.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about professionalizing the fitness industry, like the fact that I'm still being called the new coach and I've been doing this for 3 years, I am the newest, right? I think the fact that we at Madlab have so many long-term coaches really speaks to what you've created, right? Like I said, when I was working in the fitness industry before, I loved my job. I loved it. And I could not make ends meet, and I couldn't work those 14-hour days anymore, teaching, 3 aerobics classes a day and personal training for free. It was definitely that I knew right then and there that the fitness industry was broken. I was like 20 years old, and I'm like, well, this just can't work. How can someone do this as a profession, right?
Yeah.
And I wish I had Madlab back in the olden days when I started out.
That's good to hear. Thank you. I know I haven't spent a lot of time with you personally, but I knew that your character was outstanding, and I didn't feel like I've needed to jump in. Usually I jump in when someone goes off the rails. Like Tom, I had to jump in 3 or 4 times, even though I wasn't actively involved, because he was being such an asshole that he turned out to be our best coach, and he runs the gym now. He's listening to this, but I don't like to interfere. For me, I just said people, when I was doing my thing, people just interfered for their own sake. I didn't want it or need it or ask for it. And they usually they clouded. People can cloud genius with their own fucking bullshit. And I don't like this. I like to watch people, give them an opportunity and let them go. But if you ever want to pick my brain any more than this, I'm always just a phone call away. Right?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the really cool things is I don't feel like an employee of Madlab. I have my own business. I'm an independent contractor. I'm responsible for bringing in most of my own people. I do get leads and stuff from the gym. And I think that that ownership and accountability is a huge part of what keeps the coaches engaged as well, right? So I want to make this work. I want my people to stay long-term. I want them to love what they're doing at the gym. And so that's a really different, just a feel, even from any of my jobs that I've done, of just having that ownership and feeling like, well, yeah, like I am an owner of my own business, which I am. I'm an independent contractor. I'm an owner. And the way that we have it set up as a co-op, a coaching co-op at Madlab, where we really do have a pirate crew of coaches, where we're there to take care of each other and have each other's back. And we're not out for blood. We're not out to try and steal from each other. We're really here to support, and especially as me, as quote unquote the new coach, people are always willing to teach as well and support. So it's this is why I think Madlab is a super pirate organization in terms of the fitness industry, and why I wanted to have you on to talk about it.
Well, that whole thing you're talking about has been outreach in my personality. I just hated people telling me what to do. I just fucking despised it. Unless it was something that actually made sense. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that makes sense. Let me ask you more questions. And I only had one good boss, 10 years in the Fortune 100 companies, 2 of them, in a small engineering. I had one good boss for 9 months. And a good boss was the guy that, let you learn your own thing, wasn't micromanaging, wasn't down your throat, simply show me the numbers. You know what I mean? Like if my guys are doing good and their numbers are showing good and they're making the amount of money they want to make, and I'm basically earning my percentage for setting the whole thing up and coming up with the thing to begin with and taking all those risks and the risk of, lease and all that stuff, then why would I be on anybody's case? You know what I mean? And that gives me a lot of freedom. I don't want to be on people's case. Like fucking, how often do you see me down there screaming or yelling at people or telling people what to do? Like
never.
I just took T-Bear and Sheppy. Well, T-Bear couldn't do it. He just had a kid, but that came too premature. But I took him to Predator for an all-inclusive paid 4 days boys trip. And, we just, the first half an hour, they'll bitch about this and that. And I'll go, the fucking economics, the finances of it. I mean, I'll get involved in anything that's cultural. So I did get involved in a couple of cultural things because they've always got a cultural spat with Tom. And that's basically all I have to do. It's just, I look at the numbers, I do the quarterlies, I do the yearlies. And if anybody's in trouble, I sit down and go, hey man, what the fuck's going on here? And listen. And that's, as a business owner, I see guys, most of my friends have all left the fitness industry. They're all gone except for the few that joined me back, 7 or 8 or 9 years ago. And they've just pulled their hair out. I mean, you're going to be the one that's getting the call when the alarm goes off at 2 a.m. You're going to be the one that, the toilet breaks at 5 o'clock on Friday evening. You're going to be down there doing that. You're going to be any bit of gym drama. You're going to be the one dealing with that. 2 coaches banging each other that shouldn't be. You're going to be dealing with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no economic structure there that makes sense for the gym owner either.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be struggling like crazy. Like I said, 85,000 CrossFit gyms have changed hands. That's the number I get from the insurance industry people. They're the ones seeing that. You know what I mean? And so the model that's out there doesn't really work for the gym owner either. Where my parents were like that. They were cool with me. So you get 85 in school, it won't mess with you. They never mess with me. Never, ever did I not come home with an A. I came home with a B plus. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you were DJing too late on Saturday night or whatever. And that'd be it,
Mm-hmm.
And so they never mess with me, and I don't want people messing with me. I don't want to mess with anybody else. I mean, I think the program, Caron, teaches you to just be I'm a full grosy up girl now. You know what I mean? like, you know what I mean? And if you didn't want to do this job anymore, you could take those skill set anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the man or woman that comes out of law school, you know what they're learning in the next 20 years, how to become a partner. You know what I mean? If they don't want to learn how to make relationships, sell, communicate properly, work hard, do all those things, they're going to be a clerk in an law firm too. You know what I mean? It really doesn't matter where you go in life. The skills that, somehow my phone hooked up to my computer a long time ago. I shut it off. Yeah. So, I mean, what we're really teaching people, and we want people to get, is to be independent. You don't have mommy or daddy anymore, and you shouldn't be relying on somebody else. Mm-hmm. You should be a full-grown, independent human being taking care of yourself. And you know what? There are a lot of people that want to do that, and there's a lot of people that don't. You know what I mean? They want to hide behind the skirt, or they want to, whatever it is, that they don't want to learn how to be fully responsible for themselves. Mm-hmm. And people ask me, why isn't everybody doing Madlab? It still baffles me that the industry hasn't fully embraced it. I think part of that's our fault, figuring out how to deliver the service globally and online and all that stuff. And I think other part of it is it's hard. You know what I mean? It's not simple. Like, you go dig let's do the 2-day level 1 cert and we're in business. Let's go, it's a long, hard process. So, but like you said, it's rewarding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what is the Madlab Business Group program all about?
Well, interestingly enough, I just merged them together with Madlab School. It's all under one house. I probably should have never separated the two. I made that decision back in 2013 or 14, even after I'd taken all the risk and all the money we were starting to make money. I took on partners, and I thought that, if I gave people shares, or I let a couple of early guys in that were great guys that did a great role up to that point, and you should only really ever take money or give out shares when you need it, and everybody's on equal risk. I already taken all the risk, but I thought in my head, if they have shares and they'll work harder for the company and they'll care about it more and all this shit, it was exactly the opposite effect. They became extremely entitled, didn't want to work, wanted somebody else to work for them, and threw money at the problems. And that was all my fault. And the bank told me so, So I wanted to bring it all together, and I really wanted Madlab School and Madlab Group have been two different entities for so long that they weren't talking to each other. So I got Tom and Audrey. Audrey's my wife, but she's also head of that whole division now. She saved that. We had this, Caron, I'm not sure you're fully aware, but we thought we were going to mass scale this thing. We were going to do the same thing that CrossFit had done, strip mine the fitness industry. We were going to do the consulting industry. That it was like, basically you pay $1,000 and you pay so much a month and you get nothing. But, it was going to be like the machine did all the work and no human beings were ever going to talk to anybody. And that was going to solve the world's problem. I mean, you'd have to have a machine that is as good as Audrey is for it to work. I don't think we have that kind of AI or robotics yet. So we let down a lot of gyms, man. We probably 300 or 400 that came in all in one pile. Like, I did a few podcasts and one article and went mental. Everybody wanted to do what we were doing, but we didn't have the infrastructure in place. And then we had the wrong vision, which was it was going to be 1,000 gyms or 2,000 or 3,000. It was going to be all online learning, and that was going to do it. But it's the same as the gym. You need a mentor, and you need one-on-one coaching, and you need to do all this kind of stuff, right? So it took us 3 or 4 years to figure that out. And Audrey, Gigi, she was before her, and Gigi did a great job in figuring out how to implement this stuff, how to teach business owners and not necessarily coaches, just business owners, how to implement what we have at the gym. Because, we've been doing it for 18 years. So it's kind of, at that point, we were already doing it for 13 or 14. We didn't have any of it written down. We had this stuff for the coaches, but not actually, all the shit we learned was so organic. And most of the time it was me and Sheppy and T and Andy Nutt sitting around having drinks going, how do we make this better? Bullshitting until 3 o'clock in the morning and then going out and doing it, Mm-hmm. So it took us a minute to figure it out. And when we did, there wasn't any point to having all those partners anymore. So I merged the two companies together. So they're all into one as of October 1st, actually. Mm. And Tom's in charge of the online coaching division and all that training. And then Audrey's in charge of all the owners. And they sit in the same office and they bullshit with each other. And we're merging the two together because what we're learning on the floor in Vancouver needs to be relayed out there to the rest of the world. And the rest of the world, what they're doing needs to be relayed back to our floor, right? Mm-hmm. And the Greg Mack stuff that you've seen, all of our branding, our marketing, and all that stuff, that all came from the group back to us. Hybrid memberships too. That wasn't something we did in my day. That was something the group figured out. And so basically how it works now is it's expensive to join, and it's expensive to get mentorship. And we have really simple online programs instead of all these automations and stuff. And it works. It works. I think the last 10 gyms Audrey brought in over the last year or so, every one of them are killing it, really. And even through COVID and that, they're up and stuff. So we know it works. And I haven't done any marketing in 2 years. I haven't spent a cent just to make sure we had everything fixed. Now I can hold my head up high and say, what we got works. And anybody that comes in, I know it's going to turn you around, but we might not want you. Mm-hmm. You might not want us. And that's fine. Right? Same as the gym. Do you want every client that walked in the door?
Nope.
Oh, don't want them. So we finally got to that place where we might not want you, right?
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense to merge like the school and the business group. I'm sitting with other apprentice coaches. It makes sense that their owners are on board with the stuff that they're learning, what they should be doing from the school, right? So if you are learning as a coach to do something one way, but your owner's not on board with doing it that way, then what's the point, right?
That's a constant struggle as the owners get clever about how to bring in more clients through some agency, and then they have to change the development process, the client intake process, and the coach is hamstrung. And that's a balance. You wouldn't believe the hot topic you just hit there. Actually, that goes on, and that's why I have Audrey and Tom talking to each other so much now. And they get together and meet with the clients and the coaches of let's say pick a gym like Cornerstone in Cincinnati, extremely successful. So they'll sit down with all the coaches and the owner, and they'll go through the beefs, basically. It's like, and then if an owner says, yeah, we got to just take it 3 sessions of one-on-one and then into a group class or whatever, then the coach has got no chance then. He really doesn't. And the owner is short-sighted and they'll lose those clients anyway. Mm-hmm. So, that's a constant back and forth on that one. Even in our own gym, I talked to Tom, and guys are messing with the standards and who gets in the classes when, and mm-hmm. too early, and they're putting too many through without the proper training, and all that shit.
Yeah, it's important to have those standards and to maintain them for the integrity of the business.
That's right.
I've definitely seen a couple of clients come in, and you're like, What are you doing in class today? Are you sure you're done your PTs?
You had to go on vacation early. Oh, you're in class.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't happen often because, we do talk about it a lot in our coaches meetings and stuff, but standards are important to maintain by everybody for sure. So where can our listeners go to find out more about Madlab Group or the school or anything like that?
Well, it's interesting. I wanted to put it all under one website and all under one, like maybe 3 different Facebooks and Instagrams are okay. I mean, I don't really understand that stuff. Like, I'm sort of like trying to turn myself into Yoda, and it's just they come and find me when they need me. You know, I mean, the business is so driven by global digital marketing, media, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I've got really no interest in that, and no strength or skill set or desire whatsoever. So, I mean, if I'd have known Madlab Group was going to turn into global digital marketing to get new clients, because there's no natural referral source there. In the gym, there's a great natural referral source. You get someone fit Caron, they're going to bring someone from work and from home and their friends, acquaintances, family, people they bowl with, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to notice a difference in your life. They're going to notice a difference. Holy shit, you're moving way better. You look a lot better. Your skin looks better. What's going on with you? I'm doing this shit with Caron and Madlab. You got to give her a fucking call. Get over there, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in the global one, there's none of that, because the gym owners all hate each other. They don't talk to each other, and you're never going to tell anybody in your city about it. So there's no natural referral source. So we do things like podcasts and stuff like that. I've been off of that for quite some time. I'm trying to teach Audrey and Tom and all the rest of the team how to do all that stuff. But to get a hold of us, madlabgroup.com. This brand new website is live. I mean, you can find us on Facebook and Madlab Group. You want to come into our facility, our school. We have 300 and some regular people. We have to practice on people. We kind of like having a restaurant that's a school, and you serve meals to cats or something like that. You have to actually practice on human beings. So that's madlab.ca and Madlab School of Fitness. I don't know if this fitness industry will get turned around in my lifetime, but I'm pretty sure that the model we have will be the way it's done. It's taken, to be honest with you, it's taken a hell of a toll out of me. I'm back. Well, I was. Now I'm taking sort of a sabbatical for about 6 months here to get my neck fixed up. But I mean, all the stuff that I got into the fitness industry for was like, hey, I'm on planes all the time. I'm working at a desk all the time. I'm stressed out all the time. Well, Madlab Group's done that to me in the last 6 years. You get into the global digital marketing game. It's, I had to hire professional internet trolls to defend ourselves at times, just saying the truth. Because there's so many people out there working against it. You think about all the different parties working against it. The whole industry is developed around this model, from the insurance people. There's some good ones in there. From, CrossFit's trying to defend their thing, to all those franchises are trying to defend their thing, to even the certifying bodies like NASA and all those guys. All their stuff is all built around this model, which is insured to impoverish the coach, but they get all their money from them, right? All the money flows from the clients and the coaches upward to these people who sit where they sit, and they make no change, and they watch people leave the gyms, and they watch the coaches leave the industry, and yet it goes on. It's fucking incredible that thing is still going on and on and on and on. And if you try and crack it, hold on to your seat, because I don't know if you were around in 2016 when we had all the trolls and like the Russells were on us and lawsuits were on us, and simply from one article that showed how the mathematics of how the industry is fucked.
Yeah.
So anyway, it'll be interesting to see in the next 10 years what happens.
Well, Madlab will still be around.
We'll still be around. Hopefully I'll be around too.
Me too. I'm getting ready to retire. I'm old.
Retire.
Yeah.
You're old. You keep saying that.
I am. I know. 45 this year. I'm not a spring
years young
anymore. 45 years young. Yes. Yeah.
Well, keep on doing. You're doing great with the apprenticeship, and everybo's stoked to have you there. I'm hearing rumblings that they're going to have to promote you to associate coach pretty soon.
Yep. Gonna have to.
Rumblings.
Good.
Yeah. So how would you recommend, if there's someone in the fitness industry, other than obviously reaching out to Madlab Group, how would you recommend someone in the fitness industry kind of taking charge and making some change in their own careers?
Well, I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. There's so much free information there on our website, and there's a couple of master classes we call them. They're basically 45-minute to an hour, like shows us the details of, our prime directive, our 6 key performance indicators, our 9 laws. These are the foundations of what I know works. That we've done study after study after study. We did a study of 1,600 CrossFit gyms. We had this Harvard study with 45 of our gyms, and I know the shit works. If you go in there and just dig around, and we have this thing called the Math and Fundamentals. It is probably a 15-hour course for coaches, and there's another one for owners. And it goes into the concepts deeper and deeper. And the concepts are really simple. I can actually boil it down quite simply. In the fitness industry, you got 3 parties. You got the clients, you got the coaches, and you got the owners of the gyms, right? Everybody's got to win. For too long, the clients haven't really won. I mean, only 4% of people go to gyms. Why is that? The churn rates are, like I said, 70% in 9 months. Why is that? The coaches don't last much longer than, twice the churn rate. So if they last 18 months, it's probably what average. If you last 3 or 4 years, you gave one for the Gipper, you didn't have many choices, right? And then the business owners, like I said, the independent gym owners, they change hands a lot. I mean, CrossFit really made a big difference and allowed people to open up their own business. But, the model they're following and putting the brand on their door that's churning and shipping people hurt a lot of people. So prime directive, everybody's got to win. How do you measure it? This is just an engineering experiment, right? It's like probably a 3rd-year engineering project is what I looked at it with a little binder. And here's my project, right? It's something you did for 3 months, but it's 18 years now. And then how do you measure it? Well, for the clients, if they're paying for a high-value service, like we're selling a coaching service, and they're not leaving, so they're paying you quite a bit of money, and they're not leaving, chances are they're good, right? Mm-hmm. We can measure the back squat, we can measure pull-ups, we can do all kinds of things. But, okay, first 2 KPIs, average client value and churn. Good. Okay, coaches, let's make sure they're okay. What do they need? Well, they need to make $80,000 to $100,000 a year in most metropolises to get ahead. Maybe in a small town it's 50 or 60. But that's the reality. So if they can't make 80 to 100, they're done. And, T-Bear was my first coach, and back in 2005, he's like, if I can't make $100,000, Patty, I can't stick around. Within 3 years, he was making $100,000. So then how many hours do you need to work? You need to be able to do that in under 30 hours a week. So $1 per coach hour. They're making $50 an hour every time they're on the floor on average. We don't pay them by the hour or any of this kind of stuff. It's all performance. They're going to stick around. So KPI 3 and 4, total coach pay, $1 per coach hour. And at the end of the day, the arguments we used to get into, sitting up drinking late night, I tell you that made more difference for a business than anything else, or getting into screaming arguments on Saturday morning about how this thing works, is that it's like, hey man, I need to make money too. There's no point in the entrepreneur taking all this risk and not making any money. And that number came out to be 20% EBITDA after I was paid for all the roles I need to do and my coaching and all that stuff. And then at the end of the day, why am I taking all this risk when I can just do a job? So the business has to be worth something. You got to sell it for something so you can retire and the legacy. If it's a business that doesn't really make any money, no one's going to want it. Mm-hmm. And everybody's going to disband and go their way, and then we're done. So 5 times EBITDA is what the banks will loan to. And there you go. You make $1 million, or Jim does $1 million, 20% EBITDA times 5. There you go. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what we're up to. So the whole thing's just math and relationships, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Madlabgroup.com.
Math and relationships.
Yeah. Audrey came up with that one. I can't steal that one.
Yeah, that's pretty succinct.
Yeah, math and relationships. So if the math's wrong, doesn't matter. The relationship's going to go sideways.
Yeah, totally. Right. Awesome. Well, it's been so much fun having you on, Patty. Thanks for coming on and talking to us and sharing all of your knowledge and your story with us.
Yeah, I felt we could have done it for 10 hours, but
yeah,
talking about yourself, it's awfully interesting.
Well, when we had Di on, we nicknamed, that was our longest podcast episode so far, and we nicknamed that one the Di monologue. So
we kicked them off.
Yeah, we had to kick them off. Like, you're cut off, man. This is an hour
you
and
have
a half.
to go. You have an appointment.
Those Mad Labbers know how to talk.
I'll have to tell them that. Yeah, this is my short for words.
Awesome.
All right, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's rock and roll, guys. There are no rules. This one goes to 11.